few months ago, I came across an old forum post about a Scrabble game from 1999, so incredible that it came to be known as the Game of the Gods. I wasn't surprised to discover that one of the players in this game was Mark Nyman, an absolute legend of Scrabble. Mark was the 1993 World Scrabble Champion. He came literally 1 point away from winning a second title in 1999 and was a finalist again in 2016. He's won 23 major tournaments in the UK, by far the most of all time, including 4 national championships in a span of 7 years. So, who was this other Scrabble god? Well, I can guarantee you've never heard of this player before. Almost no one even remembers him today. Who is this mysterious player? Alright, fine. It's Nigel, okay? Obviously it's Nigel. You knew it was going to be Nigel, so let's just move on, shall we? Remember though, in 1999, Nigel was still somewhat of an unknown. He had yet to compete in a world championship, and stories of his amazing plays were only just starting to spread. As the story goes, at the Thai Open in January 1999, which is now known as the prestigious King's Cup tournament, Mark endured a slow start, but won 11 straight games to storm back into contention. In the last round of the main event, he had to defeat Nigel to secure his spot in the best-of-3 finals. Mark goes first and plays his top-scoring move of Rote for 24. With the clunky BFG combination on his rack, Nigel gets a reprieve from Mark's E, as it gives him Begulfed for 69. Mark immediately answers with Heartens for 82, his highest scoring bingo. Nigel draws more clunky tiles, but this time he has no easy answer. He plays Wove for 20, perhaps keeping the N instead of tacking it on, because it'll lead to slightly more bingos for him on his next move, and when he doesn't draw a bingo, he'll sometimes have decent underlaps hooking Woven. Either way, Mark needs the S of Heartens to stay open, and when it does, he plays his only bingo of Novelism for 80 to extend his lead. The only drawback of this move is the huge counterplay it offers along the rightmost column to the triple. Nigel has some plays there, but he also has something better, reaping the benefits of his previous choice, as he draws IG to pair with his N and bingos right back with Fatwaing for 80. Mark draws another excellent rack. And keep in mind that ew was not a word in any Scrabble dictionary at this time, so Mark could not play clicks or cliques for 125 here. While he has this word available for 109 points, true to form, he finds an even better option. Making the blank a Y instead of an S, he can move his play up 1 square, hitting the Q on the double letter score with clicky for 132 points. Now it's Nigel's turn to wish ew was valid, with Earthed ready to go down for over 100, but he also has a backup plan with the bingo Trihedra. Despite 3 bingos in 4 turns to open the game, Nigel still trails by 70 points after this move. Finally, Mark has to slow down. Although he has good bingo tiles, he decides to burn through them quickly in search of the 3 remaining S's and the second blank with Triode. On the other hand, Nigel's nowhere close to a bingo, and without any option that keeps a good leave, he simply takes his highest scoring play here of Axe for 37. Mark draws one of the S's he was after. He also draws the J, which would typically badly damage his chance of playing a longer word. In this case, the rest of his tiles mesh perfectly to give him yet another bingo here of Jingos for 85, making use of the archaic S hook to nigh. Facing a growing deficit, Nigel has no choice but to continue to slog through his subpar tiles, once again taking his top scoring move of Duke. Guarding his 100-point lead, Mark next plays Impala for 21 to continue burning through tiles and blocking the useful T and R of Triode, replacing them with much more difficult letters to end 8-letter words. Despite Mark's efforts to turn over tiles, Nigel has managed to draw the second blank, and he plays everyone's favorite cry of Bacchic Frenzy, Uwoy, for 18 points, hooking Axe, hoping to draw something miraculous. Mark answers with Yi in the lower left. A simple looking play, shedding the Y and scoring decently while opening nothing new to Nigel. But there is a secret value in this move. Normally, playing U would be preferred here, as the U is a weak tile that you'd want to dump. In this particular situation, playing Yi actually gives Mark many extra bingo possibilities on his next turn. That's because the U pairs well with the M of Impala to form a handful of words ending in the Latin suffix um. On top of that, if Mark draws one of the two unseen S's, keeping the U allows him to draw several combinations starting with the un prefix, hooking dukes, a sneaky lane that will otherwise be next to impossible to use. Nigel responds with yep, making another archaic hook and setting up his S in an aggressive way, hoping Mark doesn't have one. If Nigel can bingo in that spot and catch Mark with the Z on his rack, he might still have a chance here. But Mark's choice to keep the U pays off as he gets his 5th bingo of the game down with a Nestrum to that M. While this effectively clinches the game for Mark, there's still time for one more Nigelian stroke of brilliance. He's drawn an excellent rack, and he has great bingos available like Czarina's for 86. Somehow, he thinks to make the blank a J and instead plays Janizars for 122 to end the game, collecting points from Mark's unplayed BCO to cut his final deficit to only 51 points. This game-ending play by Nigel marked the 9th total bingo of this game, 5 for Mark, 4 for Nigel. Although there is at least one recorded instance of a game with this many bingos, this would still be a record in many modern Scrabble organizations, including NASPA and WESPA. Let's also appreciate that this game took only a combined 18 turns, 9 per player, which is also likely a record. According to Singaporean Scrabble champion Cheah Siu Hean, who was in attendance at the event and wrote this original forum post, the Thai Open featured a student section with thousands of competitors. This section had finished playing and were crowded around the table where this game was played, cheering as Mark and Nigel continued to play bingo after bingo. He writes that watching this game as it was played altered my perception of what was possible at this game. It's worth noting that at the time, many modern word study tools had not yet been developed, making this level of word mastery all the more impressive. Mark's victory clinched his spot in the finals, where he once again faced Nigel, winning the best-of-3 series 2-1. These two legends have played a number of incredible games over the last few decades that I plan to feature on my channel in the near future. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel so you won't miss them. I love making videos featuring simple-looking but strategically brilliant plays. But sometimes you just want to see elite players play an avalanche of bingos. 25 years later, there's still no game in Scrabble history better suited for that purpose than the game of the gods.